Welcome. You're here because, well, you want to get smart, fast, and avoid that feeling of being buried in information. We get it.
Exactly. That's what we aim for.
So today, we're doing a deep dive into something that definitely caught our attention. The new black and white versions of the Junghans 1972 Competition Chronograph.
Ah, Junghans. It's interesting, isn't it? Most people probably know them for, the Max Bill Bauhaus designs.
Super minimalist, yeah.
Or maybe the Meister collection, which is more classic, more elegant.
Right.
And then you have this 1972 Competition Chrono. It's something else entirely. Really leans into that bold 70s look.
It really does. Our sources talk about its original funky design and colors. I mean, those bright oranges, the yellows, and the whole bullhead thing.
Definitely a statement piece back then.
It was a look, a very, very specific look. Maybe not for everyone, even if you appreciated, the watchmaking itself. You might have seen it and thought, okay, cool, but maybe a bit much for me.
A bit loud, perhaps.
Exactly. And that's precisely why these new black and white ones are interesting, I think.
Yeah, they've kind of distilled the essence, haven't they? They kept that core design, the unique shape, the layout, but presented it in a way that's much more restrained.
So if you liked the idea, the sort of retro vibe, but wanted something less, visually shouty.
This could be right up your alley. It's still got character, still got that historical nod, but it's, easier to wear day to day, perhaps.
Okay, let's dig into that bullhead design a bit more. We're talking about an oval case, right? Sanded steel.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the spec sheet says 45.5 millimeters wide, which, sounds pretty big. Could be in.
Does sound large on paper, definitely.
And this is a key detail. Our sources highlight the lug-to-lug measurement, so top to bottom, 12 o'clock to 6 o'clock. It's only 41 millimeters.
And that makes a huge difference in wearability. That lug-to-lug is often more critical than the width for how it actually feels and looks on the wrist.
Stops it hanging over the edges, right?
Exactly. It means it can actually work on a much wider range of wrist sizes than that 45.5 number might suggest.
Clever. And there's more smart design here. It's 14.5 millimeters thick, which isn't super thin for a chrono.
No, it's got some presence.
But the case back apparently has this really dramatic curve.
Yeah, designed to kind of nestle into the wrist.
So it wears less bulky than you'd expect just from the numbers.
Yeah.
Plus you get all the practical stuff. Screw-in crown, screwed case back.
Good for water resistant.
Sapphire crystal, AR coated.
Yeah.
And 100 meters water resistance. So, proper specs.
Pretty robust for everyday life, yeah. But going back to that bullhead configuration itself, the pushers and the crown up top at 12 o'clock.
Yeah.
That's the main event. Visually speaking, it's unconventional, deliberate.
It's what makes it instantly recognizable.
For sure. If you like unique designs, that placement is a big part of the appeal. It just doesn't look like your standard chronograph.
Okay, so that's the case. Now the new stuff, these dials, black and white options, our sources call them more discreet and timeless.
And I think that's fair. They've gone for a sunray brushed finish, but also lacquered. That should give them a nice depth, a nice play with light.
Mm-hmm. And the subdials. Still oval, keeping that 70s link.
Right, retains that character.
But they're tone on tone.
Mm-hmm.
So black on black, white on white. Much more subtle than the contrasting ones you sometimes see. They blend in more.
It makes the whole look feel more cohesive, I think. And that vertical layout of the subdials just works really well with the whole bullhead shape. It feels balanced.
Yeah, flows nicely. And there's a tachymeter scale, too.
Yep, on the inner flange. It's matte, though, which is smart. Keeps it functional for, timing speed.
If you ever actually do that.
Well, yes. But it doesn't dominate the dial. It's there if you need it, but it's not shouting.
Now, okay, the date window. It's at 3 o'clock. One source did mention it feels a bit out of place.
I can see that argument. With the vertical layout of the chrono, a date at 3 or 9 can sometimes feel a little tacked on.
Yeah, maybe. But credit where it's due, they used a color-matched date disc. Black dial gets a black disc, white gets white.
That is a nice touch. It shows they thought about it. It helps it blend in much better than a standard white disc on a black dial would.
Little details like that matter, don't they?
Absolutely. And that monochromatic idea carries right through to the straps. Perforated leather, matching the dial color.
So black dial, black strap, white dial, white strap. Creates a very unified look.
Very integrated.
And the strap attachment sounds interesting, too. Steel inner inserts, Screws.
Mm.
It connects between the main case and that curved case back.
Yeah, it sounds like it's designed for a really secure fit, almost integrated, but still allows for strap changes, presumably. And comfort, again, is key with a case like this.
You don't want something this size flopping around.
Exactly. A good strap system is crucial. And they mention a folding clasp, too, which adds to that secure feel on the wrist. Practicality.
Right. Okay, let's peek under the hood. What's making it tick?
We're looking at the Junghans caliber J880.5, which, for the movement nerds out there, is based on the Sellita SW-500.
Ah, the SW-500. So essentially a clone of the classic Valjoux 750.
Pretty much, yeah. A very well-regarded, very reliable automatic chronograph movement. Known for being robust, a real workhorse.
Uses a cam lever system for the chronograph, right? Not a column wheel.
Correct. Cam lever, which is known for being durable, reliable, maybe a bit easier to service down the line, still gives you that satisfying pusher feel.
And the specs are standard for this kind of movement.
Yeah, pretty much. Beats at 4 hertz, which is 28,800 vibrations per hour. Gives you that smooth sweep of the seconds hand.
8 ticks per second.
Uh-huh. And power reserve is quoted around 48 hours. Again, pretty standard, pretty decent for an automatic chrono.
Now it's under a solid case back, so you can't actually see it.
Which is common for toolish or vintage-inspired watches. Helps with water resistance, too, sometimes.
True. But Junghans still says it's nicely finished. They mention stripes.
Like Côtes de Genève or Geneva stripes.
Perlage.
Yeah.
Those little circular patterns.
Mm-hmm. Often on the base plates.
And blued screws, which look nice, but also have a function, right? Corrosion resistance.
Yep. The bluing process tempers the steel slightly and adds that protective layer. So even though it's hidden, they've apparently put some effort into the finishing.
It's a nice sign of, like, internal quality control, isn't it? Even if the owner doesn't see it day to day.
It speaks to a level of care, yeah. Pride in the work. It gives you confidence in the mechanics inside.
Okay, so we've got a unique design, made more wearable, solid specs, reliable movement. The big question, price.
What's the damage indeed?
These are listed at 2,590 euros. That includes German taxes, so pricing might slightly elsewhere.
Okay, around that €2,500 mark.
And importantly, they're available now, and they are not limited editions.
That's good news. Makes them more accessible.
So what's the verdict on value? Seems pretty reasonable.
I think so, yeah. When you factor in the unique bullhead design, the brand heritage, the SW-500 movement, the overall build quality described, it feels competitive for a Swiss or German-made automatic chronograph with this kind of character.
Especially if you're looking for something distinctive that isn't, just another standard chrono layout.
Exactly. It offers something different without going back to those super bright, potentially polarizing colors of the original reissues.
Right. So let's sort of wrap this up. The takeaway seems to be Junghans has taken this really bold, maybe even a bit out there 1970s design.
That funky 1972 competition chrono.
Yeah, and they've given it a makeover with these black and white dials and matching straps. Made it more subtle, more refined.
Definitely more versatile, I'd say.
Huh.
You still get that cool, unmistakable bullhead case shape, that comfortable curved wear experience we talked about. But the overall look is just much more timeless, easier to integrate into a modern wardrobe, perhaps. It potentially opens it up to a whole new audience.
So if you were someone who looked at the orange or yellow ones and thought, love the shape, not sure about the color,
then these new black and white versions are definitely worth a closer look. You get the unique personality, but in a much more classic, almost understated package.
Okay, that brings us to our final thought, something for you, the listener, to maybe mull over. Design trends, right? They come, they go, they cycle back. Watches, cars, clothes, architecture.
Everything, yeah.
So how does a design like this 1972 competition, which is so clearly a product of its specific time, the early 70s, how does it manage to still feel, as our sources put it, totally up to date, especially in these new, more classic colorways?
It's a great question. What is it about the fundamental form, the proportions, the concept maybe, that allows it to transcend its origins?
Exactly. What does that suggest about, the difference between just being trendy and having genuinely enduring design principles?
Something to ponder. What makes a design last?
Indeed. Food for thought until our next deep dive.